Love in the big city. The city greeted her with noise. The subway roared beneath the streets, taxis honked, people rushed by without looking at each other. For Marta, a girl from a small western Ukrainian town, everything was new, bright, and a little frightening. She came to the capital with one suitcase, an old laptop, and a dream, to become a journalist. She had been accepted for an internship at a small online magazine. The pay was meager, but for her, it was a chance. The first weeks were hard. She rented a room on the outskirts, came home late, tired, often without dinner. Yet every morning she looked in the mirror and told herself, "You can do this." One rainy morning, Marta was sent to interview a businessman, the founder of a large IT company called Novatech. It seemed like an ordinary assignment, but it was her first serious job. She was nervous, flipping through her notebook while waiting in the office lobby. The secretary led her into a spacious office. That's when she saw him. "Good morning, I'm Marta Koval, from the magazine," she began. "I know," he smiled. "Andriy Levitsky. Please, have a seat." He was older than her by about 10 years. Calm, confident, with a piercing gaze that seemed to read through people. His voice was low and steady, but there was something magnetic in it, a quiet authority. At first, their conversation was strictly professional. Then, he made a small joke about his caffeine addiction, and Marta laughed, genuinely. "You know," she said, "I thought you'd be too serious for jokes." "And I thought journalists never smile," he replied, eyes glinting with amusement. That was the moment the wall between them began to crack. A few days later, he called her. "You forgot my pen during the interview," he said. "Maybe you could return it, over coffee." Coffee turned into hours of talking, about childhood, dreams, fears, and cities that changed them. Andriy was surprised by her honesty, her simplicity. She saw the world as it was, without filters, without masks. "You're too real," he said quietly. "This city eats people like you alive." "Then maybe it needs someone like me to remind it what real looks like," she replied. Weeks passed. They saw each other more often, sometimes by accident, sometimes by design. He showed her quiet cafes hidden between glass towers, city rooftops that looked like constellations at night. She, in turn, showed him something he had long forgotten, sincerity. But behind Andriy's composed smile, Marta noticed fatigue. One evening, as they sat by the river, he finally said, "I forgot what it feels like to just live. Everything's business, deadlines, people who want something from me. But you remind me of peace." She smiled faintly. "And you remind me that even people who have everything can still be lonely." Their love wasn't a fairy tale. It existed between work calls and late-night deadlines. She wrote her articles, chasing truth. He led his company, chasing success. Yet somehow, between those chases, they found time for each other, in small glances, late-night walks, or the comfort of shared silence. Still, the city whispered. Rumors began to spread when her colleagues learned about her connection with Andriy. Some said she was using him to advance her career. One night, Marta couldn't hold back tears. "I don't want to be just his girl," she said, voice trembling. "I want people to see me, not just who I'm with." "I see you," Andriy said simply. "And if you want, we'll face them together." A year passed. Marta became a respected journalist, not because of him, but because of her own voice. Her writing was brave, raw, honest. Andriy changed too. His business grew, but the walls around him softened. They didn't live together, didn't make big announcements. Yet every evening, they met in the same cafe where their story began, a place where love didn't need an audience. Sometimes they said nothing, just sat watching the city lights. "Do you think it's possible to love someone when everything's complicated?" she asked one night. "If it's not complicated, it's not love," he answered. One snowy evening, Marta walked home from work. The city was quieter than usual, blanketed in white. She stopped near a shop window, and in the reflection, saw Andri standing behind her, smiling. In his hands was a small box. "I finally figured it out," he said softly. "I was searching for peace, but I found you instead." Inside the box wasn't a ring, but a tiny silver key. "It's the key to the rooftop, the one where we first watched the city lights. I want that place to be ours." Marta didn't say a word. She simply took his hand. Together, they walked through the snow, two sets of footprints merging into one. Time passed. The city remained loud and restless, but for them, it was home, not because it was perfect, but because they had found each other in its chaos. Love didn't make life easier. But it made it real. And sometimes, that's all a heart really needs in a big, restless city.